Alright, we only have 4 this week, so let's just try to do this as quickly as possible.
Alright.
Because it's 9:30 and I'm done for the day.
Sorry.
We're going to start with Black or White, which is Mike Bender's movie. I think that's how you say his name. He did The Upside of Anger, Reign Over Me, I think, and a wonderful, wonderful, charming movie called Indian Summer. I believe that was his too. And this is his new one. Did I say The Upside of Anger first?
Yes.
Okay. And this is his reunion with Costner, obviously. And this premiered at TIFF, and apparently got a really not great reaction. And back then it was called Black and White, which I guess, I don't know why exactly they went for the title change, but the thing that jumped out at me is that is actually the, ignore the hole in my shirt. There's actually a James Toback movie called Black and White that has Bijou Phillips, Robert Downey Jr., and Ben Stiller, and a bunch of other people. Maybe they didn't want to confuse with that, I don't know. But two totally different movies. But, yes. Here we have, this movie actually, I don't know about anybody else, but this movie kind of took me a while to piece together. I don't know if that was intentional or what was going on, but the relationships the characters have with each other was a little hard to distinguish for a while. You just kind of had to watch it unfold. That or I'm really slow today, I don't know. We have Costner and his granddaughter. And the first thing you'll notice, given the title and the subject matter of the movie itself, that Kevin Costner's granddaughter is black. And then we're kind of slowly... The first thing we see is him learning of his wife's death after she was in a car wreck. So he comes home and he, explains it to the granddaughter and all that. And then we meet Octavia Spencer, who he seems to kind of have a not-so-stable relationship with.
Yeah. But
they're clearly family in some way. And he keeps saying how, one family wasn't part of another family and stuff like that. It's all kind of confusing at first, but what it all comes down to is there was he and his wife, and they had a daughter who died in childbirth, having the granddaughter. And the father of the child is Octavia Spencer's son. And eventually it gets to it sets itself up with the title and everything, and I'm guessing the advertisements and stuff like that. It's kind of being built up as a racial drama, which it is to an extent, but mainly it's a custody battle movie, actually. Because it gets to where while trying to cope with the death of his wife, he's also battling alcoholism. And with his daughter and wife both gone now, he has to take care of her by himself. And this is kind of a nice moment in the movie because they have like a really nice, sweet relationship happening. I like the scenes where he has to kind of fill in for his wife's role before she knows what's happened. So he has to, tie the bow in her hair and brush her hair and tell her to brush her teeth angrily. Do it the way his wife did. Which he isn't totally aware of because he had a full-time job before he took the leave of absence to grieve and stuff like that. But then it gets to a point to where Octavia Spencer's under the impression that they don't share custody of their grandchild because he doesn't like the idea of her hanging around black people. That's what Octavia Spencer is under the impression of here. So she hires her brother, who is Anthony Mackie, to be her lawyer and kind of battle Costner for the custody of this child. And yeah, I know. It sounds like a Lifetime movie.
Sounds like, yes.
But no, I can understand. Okay, here's the thing. When a movie plays at TIFF, there are a lot of things at TIFF, mainly like big Oscar players or future Oscar players.
True.
Like Foxcatcher was at TIFF, and some others that are escaping me, but there were a lot of, big movies at TIFF. And I'm imagining that if you're in kind of the TIFF audience and you're seeing movies like Foxcatcher and other contenders like back to back to back, a movie like this thrown in there probably won't, like, it's not the kind of thing that you would watch with those, and makes it seem like a lesser movie, a much lesser movie. I know if I had watched this immediately after Foxcatcher, I probably would have just dismissed it as a Lifetime movie, but I actually found it really, really effective.
Yeah.
And very emotional. A lot of things, like, it does do, the racial drama and the alcoholism and the custody battle. But for the first half, it has a lot to say about the grieving process, too. And I found those scenes really strong because it's worth noting none of this would have worked unless this little piece of information. Costner is incredible in this.
Oh my god. I wish this was later in the year. Because this would totally be an awards performance.
Costner is really damn good in this.
Yeah, he is.
Because, he plays the grieving process to perfection. He has to be kind of funny and charming, but also, he has the battling alcoholism. There's so much in this role that he has to tackle that are kind of, like, aspects of just what could be just one performance in itself. So Costner has to do a lot of different things here. And does them all really well. I've always thought, as a director and producer, he's a 2-time Oscar winner, obviously, but I've always thought he's been extremely underrated when it comes to acting. And he really gets to show off here. And the director's somebody who really knows how to use him, because I loved him in The Upside of Anger, too, and that movie in general. Ray Novum is the only one kind of in his lineup that's just kind of...
I like that movie, actually.
A lot of people seem to, but I never really...
I've heard the opposite. A lot of people that I've talked to don't really know it even exists.
Yeah,
and the ones that did don't like it.
Yeah, I'm kind of right in the middle there with Rain Over Me. But The Upside of Anger and Indian Summer. Do you want to make sure I'm right about Indian Summer? Because I'm just going to praise Indian Summer through a lot of this video, and then it's going to turn out he didn't even...
Oh, by the way, this is not his... Yeah, no, you're good.
Okay, good. Yes, I knew it. Because it's kind of confusing because Sam Raimi is in that movie. So it's kind of confusing directors.
Well, there's Pippa Lee, too, so...
He did that?
He was in it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's an actor,
He's an actor as well.
Yeah, he was the guy that Joan Allen hated in The Upside of Anger. He had his own cameo. While we're continuing to talk about his filmography, to this movie, there's also a lot of, kind of fun side characters, particularly, the tutor.
That guy's awesome.
Bill Burr's character refers to him as Johnny Quest's sidekick, and that's pretty close.
Yeah.
The running joke where he, presents his qualifications to everybody he comes into contact with. And he eventually becomes the guy that has to drive Costner around when he's too drunk, and inevitably has to testify in court as to what he's seen around.
He's from the Saw series. I thought he looked familiar.
And then Bill Burr is kind of like his best friend and also his lawyer, apparently. Which I wasn't aware of until the courtroom scenes, but, we'll roll with it. So, I understand, on the surface, it looks really, really like nothing new.
Completely.
And it could be the environment, because it was kind of surprising. This is the first movie we saw today. It was a 1 o'clock showing on a Friday afternoon. Generally, nobody shows up for those, but there was a lot of people in this. And everybody was really, really into it. I don't know if the environment influenced it a little bit, but
potentially,
because that can elevate it or make it worse if you hate the movie, like my experience with Francis All. But never mind.
Hey.
Despite all these seemingly obvious storylines, this movie actually left me always wanting to know what happened next, because I really cared about everybody.
Yeah. Like,
it even gets to the point where Octavia Spencer's character is kind of frustrating, because she really likes to drive in the race thing when we know Costner's character well enough to know that's not the case. It's solely because her father is, a a failed life crack addict. But then there is a scene that really throws a wrench in things that's very interesting and like really kind of ballsy for the kind of story this is telling. Though it's worth noting this is apparently a true story, which I didn't know until the words came up on the screen. But there is a moment here where you're probably thinking, okay, yeah, it's probably really, really white-oriented, and they make Costner look really, really saintly and make Octavia Spencer look bad because she's trying to push racism on him when he's not like that. However, there is a scene in the middle of this movie where Costner confronts the father and drops a particular word that made the entire audience gasp simultaneously.
Oh, yeah.
And I liked that because that really put a wrench in the story to make you say, what, is this guy really who we think he is?
Yeah.
Or is he...
Makes you
could he be who they're trying to build him up as? Because you can even see when Octavia Spencer first brings the case to Anthony Mackie, it's Anthony Mackie that, brings in we're going to go on, he has a problem with white people, and we're just going to stick to that. And Octavia Spencer, tries to kind of say, I really don't think that's the case, but Mackie just kind of, overpowers her and says, that's what we're going with. He hates black people. But when that scene happens, you really do you don't know which side to take, and it makes it really interesting to watch it play out. So I kind of like that we got both sides of that there. I think this movie is not going to get near enough the credit it deserves. I think people are going to be really dismissive of it, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
Critics, I'm sure, will find a lot of things to hate about it that I'm either, not seeing right now because I just saw it, or they're just not going to like it from its premise and the get-go. I don't know, but if you hear negative things about it, maybe I'm not going to say take my opinion over theirs, but I think this movie deserves more of a chance than it's probably going to get.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And Costner clearly, was really proud of it. He's been, pimping it out on the red carpet all season. He was on, while I was getting my haircut, I saw him on TV, he was on the Today Show, and he was calling it like a passion project.
You can tell.
So, yeah, and he really, really owns this role. You could tell he was really invested in it. Because he's really, really great in it. I think if you're a Costner fan in general, you're gonna fucking love it.
Oh, yeah.
Really. So, yeah. Like I said, I don't know if maybe I'll, start to look down on it in, retrospect or what, but yeah, I think it's gonna probably be relatively unfairly treated and just seen as a Lifetime movie when I thought it was quite good.
Yeah.
Actually, so.
Which is weird, because this was the one that we were, not wanting to see the most, and this is the one that actually wowed us the most of the whole day.
Yeah, it's kind of long, too. It's like a couple of minutes past the 2-hour mark, but just with the way it was all playing out, every scene I was wondering where it was going to go exactly. Because it's not like, you hear, the setup, and you probably feel like it's going to be one of those movies where you know exactly where it's going at every turn, but I don't know. This movie just had me enough to where I wasn't really thinking about it, and I was able to just let it take me and show me the story for itself, and I appreciated that. So, especially since we've had so many bad movies this month, it was a nice breath of fresh air.
Like you keep saying, Paddington must have been a fluke.
Yeah, I was thinking that for a while there, but no. Kevin Costner and Paddington save the day.
Yes! And the end of the month, too. How appropriate.
Yeah. Okay, our second movie is a movie that you probably don't remember, but you may have possibly seen a trailer for it last year.
Yes.
Under a different title. What was the other title? Welcome to Yesterday.
Welcome to Yesterday. Yeah.
Yes. Well, this just kind of... I didn't hear what happened. They either... I don't know what exactly, but... I don't know what happened to this movie, but it was called Welcome to Yesterday. It had a trailer, it had a release date, everything was going great, and then they just pulled it. And it disappeared off the face of the earth. And then suddenly it reemerged as Project Almanac.
Except for the big banner that was in Transformers. Hey, it was there.
what this is we have 1, 2, 3, 4 friends. I'm already forgetting Project Almanac as I do this. Oh shit. Okay.
I got this. We're good.
We have 3 friends, and one of the friends is sister. Our main character here is Johnny Weston. I believe that's the kid from Chasing Mavericks. He's in a lot of things, but Chasing Mavericks is always the first one that jumps out at me. Because he was actually a leading character.
It's also one of your worst movies of 2013, too.
It doesn't surprise me. Which one was it?
John Dies at the End.
Oh, shit, yeah.
He's also in Taken 3 as well.
Yeah. We just saw him recently.
Yes, that's how you know.
That's right. Okay. Anyway, so he is like applying for MIT, and he and all his friends are like technological, geniuses pretty much. So we see them, and I felt like it was a scene out of like
Big Hero 6.
Oh yeah. So
first thing popped in my mind.
I was thinking they were the side characters in 21.
Yeah, I can see that.
They were the ones that didn't go into the yeah. So he somewhat gets what he's looking for, but not exactly.
Yeah.
He doesn't get the full, amount that he's looking for from MIT. So
just a measly $5,000.
Yeah. So eventually he feels like he's a failure, so he starts looking through his dad's old things, and he finds what is apparently the blueprints for a time machine. So, being the geniuses that they are, they decide to build this, and then what happens when teenagers build a time machine is what happens. You can probably guess.
Yes.
And we're introduced to a 5th character who adds a love story to it, which branches off into a whole other thing, but the first thing I want to talk about is the movie's style, obviously. The movie does already feel a little dated because it's apparently a year old already when it's just come out today, but yeah, we're dealing with I don't know that it's found footage exactly, but it's from the perspective of a camera thing. It's got a lot of comparisons to Chronicle.
Yeah.
Which, was one of my favorite movies of 2012. I think it's just really, really fantastic and did great, great things with its concept. Here, it's kind of... Okay, normally I jump on this immediately, this style, but it didn't bother me that much here. The only thing that really stood out to me was that they just kept referencing it. Like every 5... I mean, I guess they're trying to play up the realism of if somebody was filming constantly. But it's like every 5 minutes they have a character say, "You film everything, don't you?" Somebody said that like every 5 minutes. And I understand that. But it was kind of the same characters too, so... If they were trying to do it for realism, that kind of backfired a little bit. But, Then, there are a lot of times where it's not the shaky cam isn't that bad until things start to get out of control. There are a couple moments where I think it's a little confused because there are a couple moments where it's usually always the sister holding the camera. The sister who loves to show her own cleavage on camera, by the way. But there were a couple of times where it was clearly like a second camera that she wasn't holding, and we never really get explanations on that. But because there was the one where they were doing the time thing from a distance, and we were watching it from like the porch. But she's holding the camera while they're over there, so I don't know what's over here unless I missed that.
The GoPro, maybe?
Maybe I did. I have no idea.
Because you have a GoPro and you have her with the regular camera.
Yeah, like halfway through the movie, he keeps one on his backpack. I don't know. But anyway, because for the entire first half of the movie, it's set up that we're seeing it through her camera specifically. Because I thought that was interesting that even though Johnny Weston is the main character, it's always her that we're staying with. We're always seeing him through her. So, I don't know. Okay. Now, here's the thing. And it's another one of those things where they kind of, they're kind of very loose with their concept because very conveniently crucial things are filmed when they probably wouldn't be. Particularly the birthday party where we see him like in his final moments with his dad where he gives him a watch and he's talking to a mysterious person we don't see off camera. And there's a 7-year-old's birthday party going on here, and whoever is holding the camera is standing at the party, but is zooming in on this private conversation between the little kid and his dad that we can hear perfectly, by the way. Yeah, I think it got a little lazy in that regard sometimes. And there was that moment that kind of bothered me where they were, they're doing exactly the Doc Brown time machine exercises, only smaller scale. They have like a small remote control car that they put the stopwatches on. And the whole point of this is that we're seeing this through her camera while she is supposed to be recording the experiments. But you can kind of tell, it seemed like they kind of forgot that was the concept, because if she's recording the experiments, the camera would constantly stay on this car to watch it disappear.
True.
But she's watching the time machine, she's watching them, she's cutting back and forth to them, watching everything but the goddamn car. I don't know if that's something, to say about her character, or if it's just the fact that the cinematographer of the movie forgot the kind of perspective we were seeing this movie through. I kind of felt like after a while it really didn't warrant that style, because they didn't really seem to use it, especially the way, as great as a way as Chronicle did.
Did you know what the red car, obviously the toy red car they used to try to test in the beginning, was it done on purpose that was basically what Jessie was driving when she came in for the first time? Like, if that was her red car, that was about the same thing.
Was it?
Yeah.
I remember her car being red.
Yeah, it was red. It was like a convertible, and that's pretty much exactly what she had. I didn't know if that was done on purpose or not.
Oh, and going back to the Back to the Future references,
yes.
Can we all just assume that Project Almanac is a reference to Back to the Future 2?
I'm sure it is.
Okay, just throwing that out there. So, they never, say that, but, we'll just say that. There is another movie I reviewed last year called I'll Follow You Down with Haley Joel Osment. I understand this movie was, supposed to be a year ago, so you can't really say it's copying a movie. I'm sure they were probably done about simultaneously. But there are a lot of elements in this movie that are in that movie. All the way to the time traveler who, if you didn't see me talk about that movie, the time traveler finding his dad's plans of building a time machine, and then using that time machine to go back and find him before his death, is the exact plot of this movie, I'll Follow You Down.
Really?
Yeah. So, even you forgot I did that review and you were sitting right there.
It's these videos, they kind of run together sometimes.
So, trying to watch all the movies, see how those run together.
Yeah, I don't think I could.
Now, here's a problem, is... Now, I understand, you don't quite... And, maybe I set myself up for this because I don't watch trailers, but I really got kind of attached to the idea that so many people were saying it looked like Chronicle. And it sounded like it was going to kind of be, things were going to get out of control. I was expecting a lot more of a thriller type out of this.
Yeah.
Remember the end of Chronicle when shit just goes totally fucked up and insane? The last 15 minutes of Chronicle is what Michael Bay wishes he could be. There's not... The places this movie goes are very, given its setup and given the things they could totally do with this, the directions this movie goes are incredibly underwhelming. Because here's the thing. I know this is kind of a realism thing and does make sense. There was a very long portion of the movie where, since, they're teenagers, they use the time machine to go to pretty much every live concert they can get their hands on.
They just went to Lollapalooza.
And it's like a 20-minute montage of them at concerts.
It's the same concert.
No, is it?
Yeah, it's Lollapalooza.
Okay.
That's a big music festival.
Yeah. And then we have the plot where he misses his chance with the girl when it was right in front of him. So he goes back by himself to fix that and gets what he wants, but then the term we learned in English class, the butterfly effect. So, I would certainly hope you read A Sound of Thunder in school before you saw the Ashton Kutcher movie, but maybe those two happened in reverse, I don't know. Now, the issue here is that it had a lot of things it could have done, but it never really takes off. And it never really does anything that kind of makes you say, like, whoa, this, I'm really wondering where this is going to go next. It just kind of does there's a lot of focus on the love story and how it, focuses on that. There are some nice moments at the beginning when they're kind of much like Chronicle. A lot of people's favorite parts of the movie are when they're just, learning their powers for the first time and all, just like the jackass type things they did. This kind of does the same thing. Once they learn that the time machine works, they kind of start using it. There's the funny scene where he takes the test on the periodic table like 5 different times.
One in the trailer.
Oh, of course.
But it plays out differently than Disney.
And the moment where the sister gets back at her bullies...
That's also in the trailer.
The fact that the sister looking like she does has bullies makes no sense to me, but, shit happens, I guess.
Haters gonna hate, apparently.
I haven't been in a school for almost 10 years, so I don't know what goes on in them anymore.
Yeah. A lot of mean girls in this world, apparently.
I
don't know. Oh, by the way, I said Transformers. I totally meant to say Turtles.
Mm.
Michael Bay movie, because it makes sense. He's an executive producer on this.
And yeah, there are some things that kind of, it does kind of go out of control. But from a distance, like the whole first issue is that because they don't win a basketball game, a plane crashes. I don't know either, but
yeah.
And I am almost positive. I am absolutely almost positive that when we see him watching the plane crash on YouTube, it is the plane crash from Knowing. I am almost positive. But, okay. So, yeah, this could have done a lot of different things, but they really kind of focus on one aspect of it, and when they try to take off and do something more with it, it kind of falls flat. So... overall, it's not a bad movie or anything. It's not like a chore to sit through or anything, but I'm not a big fan or anything. So
it wasn't terrible. We'll go with that. There's a lot worse we saw in January.
Yeah. So it's just kind of it was. I don't know. I didn't expect Chronicle levels of greatness to come out of it, but I expected more than what we got for sure.
It's all about Imagine Dragons, which definitely dates it as well. Because Radioactive is in the movie.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's what we have there. Our third movie is The Loft, which is a remake of a movie from Belgium, I think. I hope I don't get that wrong.
I'm looking into it. Give me a minute.
And we have another thing I hope I didn't get wrong. Sure Notes, I think, is how I've heard his name said. I am not sure. The guy from Rust and Bone and The Drop, who I unfortunately neglected to mention was in The Drop both times I reviewed it, and I apologize because he's fantastic in it. But, and he's a fantastic actor too. I think he's also in, I want to say Bullhead, but I could be wrong there too. If I'm totally fucking up this guy's history, I apologize. I'm a fan. So, he is in both the original movie and this one. And the story is, we have 5 friends who are Carl Urban, James Marsden, Eric Stonestreet, Wentworth Miller, and him. So I was making sure I didn't say Wentworth Miller twice. And they basically lead secret lives. They're all, they're married and, they, seem to have happy lives, except for Carl Urban. He's kind of like the has everybody guy. And he comes up with the idea that the 5 of them each have a key to this loft, and they can bring, their little secret lives over here and live in them secretly, and nobody will know, and they just kind of share it. But he has a strict set of rules and stuff like that. It's like, fight loft.
Yeah,
so, now, and then eventually they all come together, and they find a girl has been killed on the bed, and she's handcuffed there, so since they all 5 are the only ones with keys, obviously one of them did it, and they kind of try to sort out who did it between them. But they do a lot of cutting around. The movie actually starts with somebody being thrown from the loft and hitting a car, and then we see everybody being individually interrogated, and we keep cutting back to this, and then we cut back to a year ago, and we just all kind of lead up to this at once, and this movie's all messy.
Very much so.
There were two movies that came to mind when I heard the concept, on opposite sides of the quality spectrum. The first movie that jumped out at me was Shallow Grave, one of Danny Boyle's early movies with Chris Eccleston and Ewan McGregor and Kerry Fox, which is a great movie, a really, really great movie. That came to mind. Then there's a movie that you know, but I don't know how many other people do. I don't know why either. This movie just jumped out at me when I heard the concept. There's a movie called Donkey Punch.
Yes.
Yeah,
I could see that.
Google it. I don't want to talk about it ever again, but Google that movie.
We've already talked about that once.
For some reason, that movie kind of jumped out at me too. But,
yeah, I can see that.
But not really. It's just kind of its own. We have this. We're having this thing lately, apparently, with The Boy Next Door last week.
Yeah.
And
technically it is last year, somewhat.
And The Loft this week. We have two movies back to back here that feel like they are forgotten thrillers from the 90s.
Oh yeah.
I thought I use him a lot, but honestly, we're seeing a lot of movies that remind me of him. This movie has De Palma written all over it.
Oh yeah. 90s De Palma, absolutely.
Kind of late 80s there too.
Yeah.
The Raising Cain era. So. And that's not a compliment.
No.
No offense to De Palma, but I mean, like, the forgotten 90s thriller, Boy Next Door style movies, this isn't Boy Next Door bad by any means, but, it is not good. For starters, we have a lot of obviously talented actors here. But the issue is, unfortunately, I can't pull out one performance from this movie and say that was a good performance. Yeah. Everybody was kind of slacking here, even the best of them. Because Carl Urban is great for action movies.
Yeah.
Like, he's obviously perfect for Dread, and he's good as Bones. But, I'm not quite sure what kind of acting Carl Urban was doing here, but it was not something I kind of hope to see from him ever again. Yeah. Especially the interrogation scenes, good God. That is, our next movie will bring us into worse acting, but, this is not doing it. There's the weird casting choice of Eric Stonestreet for two things. Number one, I don't know how much they were kind of playing this up, but clearly Eric Stonestreet's most famous role is as Jesse Tyler Ferguson's husband on Modern Family, where he's very, very flamboyant. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't you know it, Eric Stonestreet's character just happens to be the one that is pretty much the most horny of all of them for the opposite sex. Like every single one of Eric Stonestreet's lines is talking about a woman in some derogatory way or another.
Really cheesy.
And here's the second reason why his casting choice probably is not going to get the desired effect. It's very clear that everybody knows him from Modern Family. So sure enough, we have the opening scene, the girl is dead, there's blood all over the bed, Wentworth Miller's freaking out, Marsden is, trying to figure out what's going on, Carl Urban's being all, mysterious. And then Eric Stonestreet comes in, and I heard some people laugh.
Yeah.
Because they think of Cam. I don't think that was the desired effect when his character arrived. So maybe his casting choice was not, the greatest idea. If you're going for, authentic drama and suspense here. Marsden probably comes off the best of the five.
I'd say so.
But the bar's really low. And 30 Rock fans will have a nice chuckle that his name is Chris. Again. So, it's spelled the normal way this time, though, as far as we know.
Yeah, it is.
Now, a really big issue I had here is, what this movie had I know, it sounds the exact same as what I just said about Project Almanac, but the potential that this movie had with its concept and how it could have been played to be something good, and that they avoided that completely. I have no idea. I didn't see the original movie, so I don't know if it's exactly like this or if it's something totally different or what. But what I was thinking while watching this was, what this really needed to do was... Actually, let me go into the more specifics here before I get into that. This movie's direction... not necessarily the direction of the story, but what the director does with it is what I'm referring to. The way this movie is handled in that very, 90s thriller fashion. I'm not saying, be, subtle and shit because it's a thriller, you can be out there. But the issue is, this is the kind of direction that seems like it's trying to kind of tell you how to feel about what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if something's supposed to be disorienting, the camera will be turned sideways and, just whatever. If something's supposed to be jarring, like when the phone rings, the camera actually here's the thing. It's supposed to be kind of jarring and unsettling when the phone goes off. So what the camera does is, as soon as the phone rings, the camera gets right up on the phone. It's taking up the entire screen, and the camera starts vigorously shaking as the phone rings. Would not be my directorial choice.
No.
So, yeah. And, the score that builds everything up to be much more dramatic than it probably should be. Then we have, this got really annoying and stupid because it felt like every single scene that takes place outside the loft, the flashback scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure where this takes place, but I am pretty sure it is the smallest city in the entire world. Because pretty much every single scene outside the loft has all the characters in the movie converging at the same time by accident and discovering each other's thing. Like, whenever somebody's like with a person they probably shouldn't be, they're always discovered by all the people in the movie because they all just happen to converge in the same place all the time. I don't know how many times the line, "What are you doing here?" was used, but it was used for good reason. What the fuck were half the people doing in all the scenes they were in? Except it was just like, every scene was like a cast reunion. That got really ridiculous. And the biggest issue here is, it's basically a murder mystery.
Oh, yeah.
But here's the problem. I never gave one fuck who did it.
Yeah.
There was never a scene where I kind of felt like something big was going to happen. And there was never a scene where I said, man, I wonder who did it. Nothing. I did not give a shit. And then it does the thing at the end where there's one twist, and then there's another twist, and then there's one more twist. And none of them really... I don't know. I kind of like the direction where the first twist was going, but then... I don't want to give anything away, but just... I don't understand why.
Yeah.
But I'll leave that at that, so I don't give anything away. There's no interesting story turns, and they do their best. I don't know if we're supposed to care about anybody here because they're obviously all scumbags.
Oh, 100% all scumbags.
So especially they really really build up Carl Urban to be like the ultimate guilty one. Like, oh, he's so hardcore that he gives them the keys to the loft at a wedding reception for one of them. I don't know. If you're one of those people where if you went and saw The Boy Next Door and you found it hilarious so much so that you actually enjoyed yourself just because of how bad it was, this is probably for you too.
Mm-hmm.
You probably feel about the same way about it. But I just hated The Boy Next Door without enjoying it, and I didn't like this without enjoying it as well. So, after all this darkness, after all this deceit, and after all the scumbags, there's like this, once again, try not to give too much away, but there's this kind of somewhat happy epilogue
Yeah.
where one of the characters has this very expository "where are they now" thing going on. What the fuck was that?
I don't know.
It was in the wrong movie for starters.
Yes.
So yeah, wasn't a fan of this either. They got progressively worse as they went throughout the day. We started off good, and then we got to the Loft. Alright. And we just keep going down. We just keep going down further and further and further. We're going to be at the Earth's core now. This is a movie called Vice. Have you not heard of it? That's okay. Most haven't. This is a movie that looks promising because the stars of it are Thomas Jane and Bruce Willis. That has hardcore action written all over it.
Yes, it does.
You know, first the Punisher took out Vincent Vega. Now he's gonna, go after Butch Coolidge. Why not?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, though. Todd Packer, talked about the last week. What it is it's gamer.
Yeah.
I feel like I say that a lot about a lot of movies too, but this movie's gamer. It's actually the other thing. What was it? The other one that was not Slayers, but was it Paradise? I think it was called, the other game that
Something like
Michael
that.
Cial's character created. What happens here is Bruce Willis is the creator of Vice, which is where you can live in this virtual reality world and interact with people who look and feel like humans. They even have flesh and blood, or as a very helpful scientist says in the movie, flesh and skin. So,
Oh, wow.
and you can live out your wildest fantasies. You can even murder them if you want to, because they'll just be brought back to life for the next day, the next simulation. And then Thomas Jane is the cop, the hardcore tough cop that comes in and does tries to take him down because this place just isn't right. This place doesn't just set right with him, so it's got to go down. Bruce Willis has to go down. And then there's a side plot where one of the girls actually realizes what she is because I guess they program her wrong, I don't know, but she starts to remember the other simulations, like being murdered and stuff like that. So she tries to escape. And Bruce Willis's little henchman is Jonathan Schick, and he and basically a SWAT team chase her around and fire at her aimlessly for large portions of this movie for no reason. And then eventually things converge, and she and Thomas Jane team up to take Vice down. Oh my god, this movie is a piece of goddamn shit. I don't know what Bruce Willis is doing lately. Like, I don't know if it's, like the Expendables thing, like he's trying to make up for that $4 million that Stallone wouldn't give him, or what was going on, but this being a direct follow-up to The Prince, what is Bruce Willis doing? There is no explanation for this. He doesn't need money. There's no quality in these projects, and I think he damn well knows it, because he's not even trying.
Maybe he's trying to ruin his own career.
What is he doing?
Could he
I don't
be done with
understand
acting
this.
and he just wants to do stuff until people just don't care anymore?
I don't know. He has money. What does he need?
He doesn't. He just wants to have fun.
I don't know. But, I mean, okay, maybe Stallone was right. Greedy and lazy were the words Stallone used. Greedy, this will get him money. Lazy, he can just laze his way through it. Stallone, you're making sense. However, and here's the problem. This is when I knew we had a real Willis problem going on. The movie begins, and it's two guys in a van, and they're on their way to a robbery, and he's like, yeah, they're doing like really cliche dialogue, like, yeah, we're gonna take this place down, we're gonna make all the money from this place, yeah, are you ready to go, you pumped man? And it's the worst actors I've ever seen. But I gave them the benefit of the doubt because I knew the movie's concept going in, so I was like, okay, this is clearly them living out a simulation, so everything's going to feel fake anyway. Sure enough, it's not exactly a simulation, but it's like a video of a simulation that's kind of like an advertisement that Bruce Willis is playing. So the scene pauses, and Bruce Willis walks onto the scene, and I was like, okay, Bruce Willis, start acting normal so I know that wasn't bad acting, that was just fake to show that it was a simulation. And Bruce Willis begins his line readings. And for the love of God, I do not know what is happening to Bruce Willis. This is just... all the acting that isn't terrible is just lazy. It is just people reading lines directly off camera. And when that's not bad, they're playing these terrible characters. Let's talk about Thomas Jane's character for a minute. An awesome actor in the right role. We just talked about Boogie Nights, which he's magnificent in. There's a movie called Stander where he plays like this tough cop. This role a lot better. Or maybe he was a criminal in that movie. One of the two, I don't know. But he was hardcore in that movie. Even go to like The Velocity of Gary, for God's sake, if you have to. But here, he's playing that cop, you know? Where he walks in, you know, he's got the badge on his belt, he's got the long hair, he's trying to quit smoking so he keeps a match between his teeth. And then there's, I swear to God, every single person he comes into contact with, every single criminal he's getting ready to take down or he's interrogating, is referred to as pal at the end of every sentence.
Oh my God.
He is actually that character. And we're not done yet. Yes, he has the superior that is always on his ass. The guy that's always coming around saying, you know, like, you're too reckless, and he's always scolding him. And I swear to God, the actual line is in this movie, you are one step away from losing your badge. You better step back.
Oh my God.
The other thing he didn't say was he didn't call him a loose cannon. But, I don't know. Maybe that line was in there and I missed it. It would not surprise me whatsoever. And now, and Jane doesn't even seem all here either. Like, he's kind of trying to do it, but at the same time, there's this scene where he walks in, and he's talking about why he hates the place. So he's saying, you know, he refers to it as the people that go over there and do whatever they do. And that's his line. And that actually made me think that Thomas Jane forgot his line and just said that instead.
Maybe.
You know, but that is alarming. That Thomas Jane cannot convince me that he read a line the way it was supposed to be read. Now, and it's okay. Now let's look at it as it's trying to play up as kind of a sci-fi action thing. They're not only gamer, there's some surrogates in here too. Maybe that's why Bruce Willis did it. It's kind of like an homage to, hey, I did this forgotten movie once. Does anybody remember Surrogates? I remember Ving Rhames had like the hair. That's all I remember. Now, here's the thing, and his beard. The Willis beard, which was really out of place with the bald head, but never mind. This is what they consider action scenes in this movie. The action scenes in this movie are like forgettable the second they end. Like, I just said this. The only thing the action scenes are Jonathan Check and a SWAT team of sorts chasing after this girl and firing at her aimlessly. Like, she's just running, and they have like a whole army of guys here, and they're all firing machine guns at her, and she's just like running, like missing them, and then just running away. And she gets away every time. Every single action scene is pretty much that. And okay, you can say, you know, a movie has bad acting. I just said it about The Loft. And you can criticize a movie for that enough. You can just say, that movie has bad acting, and then move on. But I can't do that here. Because the bad acting in this movie has to be seen to be believed. It is at monumental levels. I almost could not take it. Like, I actually just wanted to stop and take a break from the people in this movie.
That's not good.
These are some of the worst and laziest line readings I've ever heard, and it's for the whole movie, from everyone involved. Like, generally in these type of movies you say, oh, there's that one actor who tried. No, I don't think anybody tried. I mean, like I said, I think Thomas Jane was forgetting his lines half the time.
Maybe they suck so bad he wanted to improvise.
Yeah, that's possible. I give him credit for that. Yeah. Now, so yes, that is just... There's a reason you don't know this movie exists, and it has, like, a tiny release. It'll probably be on DVD like next week or something. So yes, this week got progressively worse, but there's always next week.
Oh no. So, okay. As the book shuts. Star mounts. Black or white?
3.
Project.
Easily.
Yeah, I agree with that. Project Almanac.
2.
The Loft.
1.5.
Device.
1.
Oh wow. We're not starting off very well, folks.
We just descended right down the line.
And we finally ended January. It's about freaking
Did
time.
I say only 2 for Project Almanac?
Yes.
Okay, and then 1.5 for the Loft. Okay,
Yes.
I did that right. Yes.
So we literally descended down.
Uh-huh.
Next week, SpongeBob. We'll see. Seventh Son and Jupiter Ascending. And I think there may be something else.
We'll see, probably.
Possibly. So, sorry to flip the script on you guys. It is Saturday, which is the last day of January, and tomorrow we start February. So tomorrow we have our first verses of February. That's going to have Inferno as your code name. And Monday, brand new Celebrity Apprentice video. This one actually was fun. Enjoyed doing that.
It'll probably be confusing because I have hair in those videos.
Yeah.
This was...
We filmed earlier because of situations, so there you go. So that also leads you to NXT and Impact on Tuesday, and Wednesday, I'm going to talk about the Grammys. Thursday, brand new Sip and Snack, and Friday, AJ's movie reviews, as long as everything lines up. Those 3 movies, and who knows, maybe more. Saturday, Ashley returns with Gaming with Ash, and then Sunday, of course, another Versus, and our cryptic comment is 100 years.
And that is the day of BAFTA.
And that is also the day of the BAFTA, which you also can check out the predictions of the BAFTAs that was released yesterday on this very channel. Yes, watch me go down in flames, as always. So that being said, thank you guys and girls out there for watching. AJ, any parting words?
That's it.